I'd like to call to order this Town of Dayton Commission on Disability meeting. Today is 9/5/24. We are currently at prime time, and the time is 5:04. Can I ask for a call to order at this time? Oh, and this is being recorded.
Cynthia Boland here.
Jonathan Gale, here.
Kevin Smith, here.
Christina De Oliveira on Zoom.
And Nicole Mello present. I ask that at this time we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alright, so we have no new business, so I'm gonna go right to old business, starting with member reports. Does anyone want to start?
Want me to start?
I have you under ADA coordinator, so right after us.
Okay.
So I can quickly just, I think last time I had mentioned to everybody about the donation that was made, to Parks and Rec. And I kind of just made a blanket statement, but now that it's been brought before the Board of Selectmen and, accepted by them and Parks and Rec, the intention of this, donation, which was $20,000, was to make improvements at the community playground, and to be focused on making improvements that improve accessibility, inclusion, and ways to bring the community together. So we're gonna kind of work on some different ideas, and we're also gonna keep the family that made the donation in the loop and kind of let them be a part of the planning process to make sure it's, you know, something that's done in the likeness of their father who passed away. So that's kind of exciting news.
Yeah.
That's a sizable.
That's awesome.
Yeah, compared to some of the other, like I said in the selectors meeting, it's like you're always appreciative of any donation, but this was like, you know, so above and beyond anything that we're used to. So we actually, you know, we started looking at some different things. There's some really cool, inclusive picnic tables that I've looked at that, we're gonna explore, and then actually a town resident sent me a link. There's a company, I think it's in Oregon, but we're gonna try to find somewhere maybe that does it closer, where they make, concrete ping pong tables, chess tables, and cornhole boards.
Oh, that's
But like none of it can rock, cause it's all
Yeah.
concrete, and like they'll finish it and put like, the cool thing is like everything's customizable, so it's like instead of just having like a little plaque that says, you know, in memory of Michael Oliver, like you can almost integrate it into like these pieces too, so that's kind of neat. So that's a couple things that we're doing, and also too, we'll probably try to explore, cause it's mostly grass over there, is when, if we do like, you know, a picnic and gaming area, is, tying it in with like having accessible walkways and things like that, so you can actually get to these.
Is it that one over here?
Yeah, this one right up
okay.
front, so, which has kind of been, I think that was built in the late '80s and it hasn't really got much attention since, so it's
Wow, it looks nice.
kind of nice, it's a good jumping off.
Yeah.
One thing that I did, you know, when I talked to Jonathan about it too, that he had mentioned, is when you have that size of a donation too, it's also a good selling point when you're exploring grants, because you show community, you know, commitment to improving the area. So it's like you can say, oh, you know, we already have this, you know, so we might be able to, you know, take it to the next level and maybe make some really serious improvements.
Is
over
there
time.
any way to tie that in, like, to, the track area over there? Like, if we were going for a grant saying, we're working on this area over here, we have this amount of money, and just across the way is such and such, that, I mean, that just that, I know I'm really stretching it, but.
Well, so I think, well, you know, because you know Jonathan and I's history, it's like we've always had this like dream of like, let's improve the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like, the more you think about it, is like if you have, I wouldn't want to put all my eggs in that basket either and then not end up being able to do anything, because it's like one big package.
Yeah, good point.
So it's tough, because it's like, there's only so many of us to do all these things, so it's like, it's,
I think it's, for something like that, I think it's more likely to be able to take that $20,000, piggyback that with grants, perhaps some state or federal grants and maybe even some philanthropy grants for the playground area, but maybe ultimately somehow think of it as part of like an overall capital improvement that might include the track. And the track would be further down the road, depending upon funds that are raised or, found through some kind of capital program.
Yeah,
So I don't think it's off the table from my perspective or Kevin's, but I think it's not the first priority part.
no,
But it is part of it.
no, I just always keep it in the back of the mind
Well,
because it's crumbling.
One thing too is I think if you show though that like, all right, we've invested this much in this,
Yeah.
then like you can move on to the next thing. And so it's always kind of good to show that you haven't let the whole place get, you haven't addressed anything at the whole place and you're
Yeah,
kind of just putting your hands out. So
Yeah, the other
show
thing-
that we're working on it.
The other thing we have in our pocket is that we've already done one playground and made it accessible. And that shows our commitment when we're filing the grants. So, something to think about.
There's always people at that playground too over there.
Oh,
There's
it's,
always-
yeah, that one's jamming, cause like we're right in the middle, everybody sees it, so it
Yeah, I
gets a
just
lot
see
of,
people set up like a little picnic over there.
nobody's getting married over there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is a one-stop shop, this place.
Did you have anything else, Kevin?
So the only other thing, and this is, I don't know if it's necessarily a report, it's just something that I've been thinking about, is I think it would be nice if at some point, we as the commission, have a conversation with, probably the Board of Selectmen and also the police department about handicap parking enforcement. And possibly to having the conversation, because in a lot of towns, and it is set up in our bylaws that we could, COD could receive the fine money, because, it goes to a special account, so it can only be spent on accessibility improvements. No, the reason why I brought it up is because I'm like, there's been one person in particular who's been regularly parking in a not great manner. I've actually asked them on a couple of different occasions not to do it, but it continues to happen on town property. So I think it would be good if the police department had a little bit more initiative to enforce it.
I think I told Kevin, and I'm remiss here because I told you I would send you the information about that specifically, how it has to be worded, and if it were to be a town bylaw. And also, what the state's, how the state looks at it through MOD. And remind me again to send it to you, because I don't want to forget, so we can keep it on for next meeting. So that you have that information, so that it can be discussed further. So just keep it in my head.
Yeah, but that's all, it's just something that's kind of been on my mind.
No, I think that's a great idea.
And two, I know like when we start talking about KMA reports, like we always kind of segue into, well, where's the money gonna come from to do X, Y, and Z, so, it's like, people shouldn't be parking in handicap spots.
No,
So,
Yeah.
we might as well take advantage of their ignorance, I guess, for lack of better terms.
Yeah, because would you say already a few times you've noticed this person, so think of how much each fine that was.
Christina, do you have anything?
Yeah, the CPAC is having our first year meeting of the year Monday. It's hybrid, so it'll be in person and on Google Meet. In person, it's at the DR Media Center. Dr. DeJoya is going to be joining us and doing a short presentation. And then in October, we're going to be having Officer Schwartz and a Rehoboth police officer come. Officer Schwartz has a program about like to identify. I guess it's mainly geared towards children with autism. Specifically, like where would they go if they were missing potentially. Things like that. What are their interests? Things like that. So he's going to come speak about that at our CPAC meeting.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
If you have like a graphic or something that I can put up on Facebook to let people know about that.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Christina, where is the meeting on Monday?
It is at the high school media center,
At what time?
7.
Okay.
Or it's or it's on Zoom, Google Meet as well.
Okay, could you send me a link if you don't mind, just in case?
Sure. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything, Cindy? No. I don't have anything either. With that, Jonathan, you're up.
I don't have a lot. Overall, Kevin and I were not able to connect for the past month to look at roads for the circuit project, walkways and so forth. We've just both been in different directions. No doubt we will hopefully circle some of that over the next few weeks or month. Then as far as residents directly, it's been a fairly quiet month. I've had, well, in some ways yes, some ways no. I've had, I think 6 residents just reach out with general questions about town resources or where they can find information. So I've spoken to those residents. I met with a couple of residents who had concerns about a couple of sidewalk areas in their neighborhood. In the end, I had to explain to them, unless the town is gonna do something with those sidewalks or there's a reconstruction project, there's nothing we can do because it won't fall under anything right now for ADA requirements. But they weren't happy, but that's unfortunately the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
The other thing, and Christina, you may have want to weigh in on this or not, is I've gotten a few calls from parents from the school system, primarily around a couple of things, but one of the areas that was focused on was athletics for kids with disability. And whether or not unified sports is going to continue this year, unified basketball, for example, because with the new AD, athletic director, there are some people questioning the commitment that the school has now to the unified sports program, and also to a couple of kids who were in athletics at the high school, but no longer go directly to the high school, for example, because they go to substantially separate programs. But in their IEPs, it states that they can participate in athletics. But this year, the school department has made a decision that those kids cannot participate in athletics. So I've received a couple of inquiries from Rehoboth and Dayton. Of course, I can't represent or give information to the Rehoboth families, but I am going to be reaching out to MIAA to see what their policy is and their procedures are, because that may fall into this. But if there's an IEP which stipulates that these kids can participate, and now these kids are being told they can't participate and they don't understand, that raises another red flag. So Christy, I don't know if you've heard anything about that or not.
Kevin mentioned something about it to me. So yeah, if you email me as well, we can.
Yeah,
chat.
and you and I can talk about that.
Yeah.
Because there's some things about that also, and then with a couple of other policies that the school seems to be putting in place as well. There's a question about kids with disability and whether they understand the policies or not, how it can be explained to them, things like that. So I haven't been, and I want to be clear about this, I haven't been in the past really very invested or involved in the schools in any way. Our prior town administrator had instructed me to kind of not get involved in the schools, even though Mass Office on Disability, their feeling is that as the ADA coordinator of town, they should be. And the reason for that is because the school doesn't have their own ADA coordinator or person responsible for ADA who's designated. I'm still not getting directly involved. I don't have the time. The amount that the town has provided me for hours doesn't afford me the time to do that. And until there's a new town administrator and I get direction from him or her, the best I can do at this point is advise parents what their rights are and give them resources where they can reach out to find out what their rights are.
And these parents have already previously reached out to the school prior to reaching out to you, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, they've reached out to the school, felt they've gotten nowhere, reached out to me. And honestly, all I'm doing at this point is giving them the places they can go to get more information, whether they want to look into, find out what their rights are, or perhaps get legal help from the state. That's really, right now, that's all I can do. And again, until there's a new TA on board, and I have a chance to have a conversation with he or she and get some guidance, since technically my boss is the TA. And I haven't yet once met with Jim, although I will say I've asked a few times to meet with him. I'm taking the road less traveled right now.
Yeah.
So, that's all I have right now. I will say the library is still ongoing. There's a question mark in my eyes right now as to about some accessibility components to the library, which I'm addressing to see how it's gonna be handled and how we're gonna ferret that out. Hopefully I can have more information at the next meeting. I think I've shared with you a little bit, I thought about that already. So, that's still an ongoing process with regard to the library, and that's all I have right this minute.
Excellent. So we're gonna move over to discuss the PMA report. Looks like Kevin's are you getting up the document, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm gonna check right now. I'll screen share.
Christine, while we're waiting, I don't know if I have your direct email address. If you could shoot it to me, that would be awesome. So I can go back and forth with you.
Yes. I will send you an email from
Okay.
the email you should use.
Yeah, you can send it to my town email or my personal email,
Yes.
whatever you have, whatever works, and I'll just respond back.
Perfect.
Thank you.